I let myself into my own apartment at 7 in the morning after a month away for work, and there was a man in my kitchen, wearing my robe, frying eggs in my pan. He wasn't a burglar. Burglars run. This man looked at me, looked at his phone, and said with genuine irritation, "Hey, checkout's not till 11. That's how I found out my roommate had been renting out my bedroom every single time I traveled for 14 months, 41 guests, 41 five-star reviews, and every one of those reviews was about to become evidence. But let me start from the beginning. I'll go by Cole. I'm 29 and I'm a field engineer on wind farms, which means my life runs in rotations. 3 or 4 weeks on site in the middle of nowhere, then a stretch at home. It's a strange rhythm, but the money's decent and I like the work. What the rotation life really requires is one thing: a home base you never have to think about. A door you can lock, leave, and trust. Enter Dex. Friend of a friend, needed a roommate the same month I did, and honestly, on paper, great. Easygoing, funny, worked from home doing digital marketing, which I now understand was more accurate than I knew. We signed the lease together, both names, both responsible, and because I was gone so much, we set up the arrangement that should have been my first red flag. I sent my half of the rent to Dex, and Dex paid the landlord. "Easier with one transfer," he said. "Hold on to that robe from the cold open, by the way. It matters that it was my robe. Everything in this story comes down to what was mine." So, 7 a.m., a stranger, my eggs. His name was Gary. He was in town for a dental conference, and Gary, bless him, genuinely, Gary is the hero witness of this story, was just as confused as I was. He pulled up the app on his phone and showed me his booking. Sunny private room, city view stay. 3 nights, $95 a night. And there in the listing photos was my bedroom. My bed, my guitar on the wall, listed under amenities, my record player, amenities, hosted by Dexter Superhost. I want you to understand what a Superhost badge means, because it's the detail that took my legs out. You don't get that badge for one sneaky weekend. You get it for volume, consistency, and glowing reviews over time. I scrolled. 41 reviews, 14 months. Great location. Host was so friendly. Room was spotless. Yeah, because I clean it. And then the one that made me sit down on my own couch like a guest. The host's brother travels for work, so the room is always available. Super convenient. His brother. I had been written into the marketing. I did what engineers do when the readings don't make sense. I cross-referenced. I pulled up my work calendar, every rotation, every date, 14 months back, and laid it against the review dates. A perfect match. Every single time I was standing on a turbine platform 400 miles away, my bedroom was earning $95 a night. I did the math on the back of Gary's checkout receipt. Somewhere north of $11,000, earned off my room, while I paid full rent on it. Folks, my bedroom had a better income than some of my coworkers. Dex strolled in from the gym 20 minutes later, saw me, saw Gary, and did not even have the decency to look caught. I'll give you the confrontation in his actual words, because villains on this channel always write their own best lines. "Okay, first of all, calm down. Your room was just sitting there empty. Empty rooms are wasted money, man. I didn't take anything from you. You weren't even here." And when I said the word lease, he laughed and delivered the dare. "You know the one. This channel runs on it. What are you gonna do, call the lease police? The landlord loves me. I've literally never missed a payment." That last sentence stuck to me funny, and it took a day to figure out why. I've never missed a payment. Singular. Remember the arrangement? My rent went through Dex. So the next morning I called our landlord, Mrs. Petrosian, a no-nonsense woman who owns the building outright, ostensibly to ask a maintenance question. And in that call, I learned 2 things. 1, rent had been arriving late repeatedly for months. She'd been letting it slide because Dex was so charming about it. My money had been reaching him on the 1st and reaching her on the 9th, doing a little dance in his account in between. And 2, the thing that turned my stomach. There had been noise complaints, multiple. Strangers in the stairwell at midnight, luggage wheels, a party in March. She'd assumed it was both of us. For 14 months, my name had been quietly attached to every complaint his side business generated. I wasn't just being robbed. I was being spent. Here's what Dex, self-employed digital marketer, never bothered to read. Our own lease. Clause 9. Plain as concrete. No subletting, no short-term rentals, no paying guests without the landlord's written consent. Material breach. Grounds for termination. And our city, like a lot of cities now, requires short-term rental hosts to register with a permit number displayed on the listing. Dex's listing had no permit because Dex had no permit because you cannot register a rental in an apartment you don't own with a landlord who'd say no. But the part I actually want you to write down is this, because it's the engine of the whole payoff. A review platform is a ledger that writes itself. 41 strangers with no stake and no idea had spent 14 months creating a public, time-stamped, third-party record of exactly when my room was rented, what was said about it, and, via the listing, what was charged for it. Dex thought reviews were marketing. Reviews are testimony with a star rating. He had built 5 stars at a time, the most cheerfully documented paper trail this channel has ever featured. I didn't need to prove anything. I needed to print. So, quick pause, and I genuinely want to know comments right now. Gary is standing in your kitchen holding his eggs. What's your move in that exact moment? Scream at Dex the second he walks in? Because that was my instinct, and I want to be honest that I mostly resisted it for a boring reason. I'm an engineer. When a system fails, you don't kick the turbine. You document the failure mode. So while Dex was at the gym, I did something that felt surreal. I helped Gary pack, apologized to him. He was a victim too. He'd paid for a room the host had no right to rent, and asked him for one favor, a screenshot of his booking confirmation with the price. Gary, hero of the story, sent me that plus something better. The entire message thread where Dex coached him to tell the neighbors you're my cousin if anyone asks. In writing, his own thumbs. I built the binder over one weekend. Tab 1, the lease, clause 9 highlighted. Tab 2, the full listing, archived, every photo of my property offered as an amenity. Tab 3, all 41 reviews, printed, each one date matched to my work rotation calendar. Tab 4, Gary's booking, Gary's cousin instructions, and the city's short-term rental registry showing no permit. Tab 5, my rent transfers to Dex, next to Mrs. Petrosian's record of late payments. Then I asked her to coffee. She read it the way I imagine she reads everything, twice, silently, with one eyebrow doing all the talking. Then she said the most satisfying sentence a landlord has ever said. I've been blaming you for the noise. Within the week, Dex received formal notice. Material breach, terminate, or face eviction proceedings with the binder attached as courtesy. The charm offensive lasted one phone call. Turns out, the landlord loves me, has a shelf life of exactly one lease clause. Dex was out by the end of the month. Mrs. Petrosian re-signed the apartment to me alone. She told me, and I quote, I like tenants who bring receipts. But we weren't done, because $11,000 of my bedroom's earnings were still sitting in Dex's account, and small claims court exists for precisely this. Filing fee, $55. My evidence? The ledger 41 strangers wrote for me. Dex's defense, and I promise this is real, was he wasn't using the room. The judge asked whether Dex had been paying my half of the rent for me during those nights. The silence did the closing argument. Judgment. The full rental income traced through the listing, plus costs. The platform, once notified he'd been renting property he had no right to offer, removed the listing and the account. Superhost to no host. One certified letter. The robe went in the donation bin. Some things you can't unsee Gary in, but I kept one thing. I printed the review. The host's brother travels for work, so the room is always available. And I framed it, and it hangs by my front door where I see it every time I leave for a rotation. Right under it, on a little card, I wrote the review I never got to post. 5 stars. Would evict again.
So tell me, what do you do in that kitchen at 7 a.m.? Blow up on the spot, or shake Gary's hand and start printing? Tell me in the comments, and subscribe, because next time on the Karma Archive, a woman spent 10 years learning to bake at her grandmother's elbow, until her sister stole Grandma's handwritten recipe book and opened a rival bakery across the square with Grandma's face on the sign. Her first mistake. Grandma was still alive,